When Jennifer Lopez announced This Is Me Now, a love story, a film/visual masterpiece meant to accompany her upcoming album of the same title, there were already swirling rumors that this film's chaotic production and its lack of studio support would likely result in a misguided, self-funded passion project, sprung from J-Lo's ego-driven final attempt at relevancy that not many people would want to watch. But Jennifer Lopez proved all of them wrong by making something so chaotic and misguided that many people couldn't help but want to watch. It's like witnessing a hot air balloon crash into a bunch of power lines. Sure, it's terrible and tragic to behold. Then again, who remembers any of those picnics where they didn't see a dead body fall from the sky? God, this is such an inconvenient time for that memory to unrepress itself. Was that the cause of my electrostatically charged balloon fetish? Damn it, Nick, we said no more fully verbalized self-realization moments on camera. Luckily, I can distract from my embarrassing vulnerability with somebody else's. Somebody who's rich and mean to waiters, so it feels less like cyberbullying. Now it's your turn to prepare your internal justification so we can roast this hardworking mother of two over the flames of public opinion who had the courage to create a film with an original screenplay like I'm always saying people need to make more often. Don't overthink the hypocrisy, okay? I'm kind of just a bitch. And I guess that's one delusional bitch reviewing another while we break down this under feature-length film with almost 1 full hour of surreal plot points, a mishmash of different tones and sincerity levels, and enough frenetic Gen Z dancers to make me feel like I need a shot of insulin. So thank your lucky stars, because it's time for today's title that's longer than the movie itself installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello, television viewers. My name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other content here on the web, and we break it down like the line item budget of a self-funded project that major studio executives said you don't need to film because it's not gonna sell well, but you did it anyway because you're Jennifer Lopez, damn it! And that way we can look at each individual clip and decide if it's worthy of the greatest love story never told or not. There's a lot of double negatives happening in my life right now, and this movie is a double negative because it's the second part of a two-part series. We covered recently the greatest love story never told, which was the behind-the-scenes documentary of how they made this movie, This Is Me ... now, a love story, which is, as I said, the visual accompaniment to the album This Is Me Now, no love story. Do you understand why titles matter? Because you want people to talk about your shit, and you don't want it to just be like the horrible J-Lo movie, which is where I feel like people are landing online with this one, because it's bad. It's available for free on Amazon Prime, which on one hand I think helped increase its viewership. Over 250,000 people watched it in the first 30 days, but I don't think that many would have if it weren't free. I don't see many people buying a movie theater ticket to see this. Also, it's not even a full-length movie to play in theaters. It was only 65 minutes long, which the sweet relief that washed over me when I realized that when going to make this video, but that's neither here nor there. I don't even want to get started until I remind you that before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. That way I know you want to see even more celebrity musical movies like this. Also, most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would really love it if you could give that subscribe button a click. Or if you're not new to my channel, I don't know why it matters. You shouldn't have to be new. Like, a lot of people, it turns out, are watching this channel regularly, but are not subscribed. So that's really fun for you, but let's change it up. Let's maybe be subscribed. That way you can help support the channel and really help me grow here on the platform. And also you'll get notified every time I upload a new video, which is quite often, you know, compared to like dead people, right? Turn on notifications and you'll like be right there in the know when I'm happening and uploading everything at 4 in the morning. Also Patreon, also merch. Do you love the merch? You love the merch. It's crazy town to me that Jennifer Lopez was told no by so many people who are like, this movie's not gonna sell well. We are the people who make movies and we don't think this movie is a movie. And she was like, I'll show you by paying for it myself. And they were like, well, that's your prerogative. And she did it. Her record label was like, we don't need this movie to sell your stupid record. And she was like, I'm gonna make the stupid movie to sell my stupid record. And they were like, well, that just seems like two stupid things, but okay. And sure enough, I think J-Lo really tried to establish herself as a legitimate artist with this piece of work. I think J-Lo was a legitimate artist just by making really great pop records in the early 2000s and 2010s. Like, she has some iconic moments, both in fashion, on the runway, way in music videos and in her recorded music. So this like attempt to really like remind the kids like why she's hip, it feels desperate. I don't see the real divas of pop trying this hard. But then again, the real divas of pop don't have this like incessant background noise of people complaining about how rude she is to people in like the service industry, like being mean to the restaurant workers at Disney World, for example. Those are the happiest restaurant workers in the world. How are you gonna yell at them? How are you gonna yell at them? Look at me slurring my words already. Let's get into it. This is clearly meant to be a personal piece from J-Lo because it starts with a Puerto Rican legend of old about, what are their names? Boo 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 Boo, Boo Boo and Goo Goo. Hey Boo Boo, you like a Goo Goo? Puerto Rican legend, doo doo. No, don't listen to me talking. Just, it's about Alita and Taru, two star-crossed lovers from warring tribes who they tried to hide their romance, but it was found out. And as you probably know from reading Shakespeare, that leads to death.
It's an old Puerto Rican myth about star-crossed lovers. Alita's father found out and ordered her to marry another. Alita turned to the gods to save her from this fate, so they turned her into a red flower.
I mean, that was nice of the gods to help Alita avoid forced marriage, but I can't help but wonder if they might have been able to brainstorm a more elegant solution than turning her into a flower. Out of all of the divine interventions that would theoretically be possible, like miraculously changing her father's mind or bestowing peace amongst the warring tribes, feels kind of like an indirect solution to be like, oh, let's turn the bitch into a rose. Flowers can't get married or feel sadness or ever talk to their loved ones ever again. Like, okay, yeah, getting transformed into a red flower would probably solve a lot of my problems in life too, but it would also technically be the end of my life as I know it, right? Instead of being sentient and working and paying taxes, my only jobs would be drinking dewdrops and bending slightly to avoid oncoming lawnmowers. When the gods turned Alita into a flower, they were essentially killing her. Only slightly more eco-friendly, I guess, because a single flower got planted. Way to go, gods, you greenwashing. And they're not done yet, because Taru is now like, well, now I don't know where my girlfriend is, because she became a flower without telling me.
Taru found out and sank into a deep despair. He begged the gods to help him find her, so they turned him into a hummingbird.
Okay, I'm starting to think that no matter what it is you're praying for, the gods are just gonna turn you into something that lives outside. So maybe don't go to them first. Like, perhaps start by seeing a family therapist. See where that gets you. I feel like the gods are just pushing people unnecessarily towards becoming plants and animals to meet their carbon reduction goals just in time for tax season. You could be like, dear gods, please help my grandmother who has cancer. And they'd be like, boom, your grandma's a shark. Sharks don't get cancer. We read that online somewhere. And then it's like, okay, dear gods, now my problem is that my grandma is a shark. So if you could zap, now you're a shark too. Family of sharks. So cute. Enjoy swimming in the ocean for the rest of your life. Bye. Maybe next time try medicine, dummy. So despite the cognitive dissonance that comes with the legend that this whole movie is based off of, we've got a really solid basis. And let's also cut to J-Lo riding on a figurative motorcycle through a figurative land of lakes, Land O'Lakes butter. So Taru basically spent the rest of his life looking for Alita as a hummingbird. Whenever you see a hummingbird land near a red flower, that's the two of them reuniting. And she was like, that's why when I was a little girl, when anyone asked me what I wanted to grow up to be, I said, in love. And it's like, damn, you needed therapy way back then. This movie is basically about Jennifer Lopez being addicted to monogamy. Like she was married 3 times before she married Ben Affleck this most recent time, who, spoiler alert, they say they're getting divorced as we speak, living in different houses, not wearing their rings out. The writing is on the wall, but let's make a movie about it first, shall we? And then let's symbolize it with this apropos bike ride.
But I learned the hard way. Not all love stories have a happy ending.
I think another good takeaway that you also learned the hard way would be that not all terrains are great for motorcycles. Wouldn't you agree, Miss Hydroplane Jane and the Road Rash Kid? Your man swore up and down that he didn't need to take that motorcycle safety course when he bought that thing, but now it's gonna be mangled corpse o'clock by the time ambulances make it out to you in the middle of these flooded road forever fields. All because what? You had to get a good Instagram picture? Nice. Now, if it were me in the editing booth, I would have ended the movie right here, followed by, I don't know, 63 minutes of slowly scrolling credits, and I think that would have made for a cleaner storyline. The tone would have felt more consistent, and it even would have been a more satisfying character arc. But no, J-Lo was determined to spend another few $1,000,000 of her own money on the dozens of green screen dance numbers and digital environments that make this look like a Spy Kids movie. But what I think matters most in filmmaking is always the writing. And as we just saw, Jennifer came up with a story that's full of symbolism and metaphors that I would describe as very sophisticated. If I were teaching a 10th or 11th grade English class and this was was what was handed in by a student who showed a lot of improvement since first semester. And I'm not just talking about a public high school, okay? The ones where people care too. I think the like kind of sophomoric nature of all of this writing, it doesn't help Jennifer establish herself as a legitimate artist. It helps establish her as a very surface level thinker, which I mean, I think I already knew about her based on, I don't know, general vibe. Can't say how I know, but you look dumb. I'm just kidding. And once again, I will reiterate what I satirically hinted at in the intro, which was like, I think it's great. Women in film is a very important thing. And I think it's awesome that JLo has the fucking money to pay for her own movie and make it happen, even when nobody else believed in it. It was a big gamble. Did it pay off? No. Do I think she was surrounded by people who provided honest feedback that could have helped her improve this and make it feel like a legitimate story? No. I think she used her best friend, who was also her agent, who was also her manager, who was also her best friend, who was also her best friend. Like, she's surrounded by people who are both her employees and her best friends, and to me, that is a formula for making stuff that people aren't going to tell you when it sucks, right? So that's a faulty point that has happened to many people, but I think it's also interesting that this combined with the storyline that she's rude to people in like public, which I don't condone, but also I can't help but notice like that storyline doesn't get brought up for men who are dicks to people in public, maybe more so now, like I'm looking at you, Jonah Hill, but like your work is not going to be seen as legitimate if it's mediocre and if people don't like your personality. They might see you as like legitimate if your work is mediocre and you have a somewhat likable personality. Hello, thank you for my career. But JLo unfortunately is not falling into that category. I'm at a different level than that ugly bitch. I'm just kidding. Laugh along with me. I wish everything that I watched was a musical. When you're singing, you speak in my language. Speaking of languages, I want to tell you all about the sponsor of today's video, Babbel, because as you know, I recently got back from Brazil, where they speak Portuguese. I thought I would be good because I have already been using Babbel to learn Spanish, but mama, there are some significant differences between Spanish and Portuguese, and I had a crash course in that. But thankfully, with Babbel, they have so many different languages that you can learn. It was the world's first language learning app and is currently the top selling. I can't wait to go back to Brazil. I love it there. But you can bet I'm gonna be studying Portuguese on Babbel all the way up until then because it's so beautiful to hear and to speak, and I just feel better being able to meet them where they are. Like I'm in their country, let me speak their language. And Babbel is scientifically proven by researchers at Yale University, Michigan State University, and other institutions to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Those are some scientific numbers you can bank on. These are real life lessons. It's not some sterile vocabulary. It's conversational stuff that I really could have used in Brazil and hope to be able to use very soon. Also, you don't have to worry. Babbel comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee, and if it's not the right fit, just write to customer service within 20 days and they'll sort it out for you. These lessons are designed by real language teachers, not some algorithm or AI that doesn't know anything. There are over 650 real language experts putting these together for you. That's why you get to learn practical, real-world conversations in no time. The hardest thing for me in Brazil was like debit or credit. Credijo. I was so incompetent when they would ask debit or credit, and I did not know the word for credit. So I'd be like, credijo. And it's like, I just don't think that's right. And they would be like, okay, just say credit, sister. Again, it's not the same as Spanish, because in Spanish, I would have known, thanks to Babbel, how to ask for my check. Me trae la cuenta? Or donde está el baño? Those were common ones that I needed, but they're different words in Portuguese, so I gotta get started. In just 10 minutes a day, Babbel can help you get started learning a new language for your spring travels, or just help you start the new season with a new focus, a new project, a new mental activity that's good for your brain. So if you're ready to start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen right here to get 60% off on your subscription. And let me know in the comments what language you would like to learn. And if you speak Portuguese, challenge me with a phrase. I'll do my best. Thank you so much, Babbel, for helping me connect better with the world around me, both at home and abroad. You're the best. Mwah. Anyway, next we go to a scene where Jennifer Lopez is working in her factory job. Don't worry, this is just a nightmare she's having. She doesn't actually have a job in the movie. She works at the factory of the mechanical heart. I guess her job is to keep this mechanical heart running for an unseen iron giant. And they keep it running by feeding it flower petals. But when this movie starts, the machine, the conveyor belts bringing the flowers in, they run dry. The flower flower bushes are all dead. And this is all supposed to echo back to the red flower that Alita was turned into. She is the flower. Jennifer is the red flower. And the red flower is a rose, usually. Although sometimes it just seems like a carnation, depending on what the production designer could afford, right? Anyway, we get into this song where she's like singing about all the nights and hours that people don't see when I'm trying to fuck my husband, but he doesn't like me. Those aren't the real words, but that's essentially the vibe. We don't see everything that's going on under the surface of these troubled relationships that she's had. And she's bemoaning that with her dancers.
They're all dead.
Dead roses. Everyone take your bras off. We're gonna roll around in some shit. In the behind the scenes documentary that I covered in a previous video, this mud dancing segment was made out like it was going to be the most groundbreaking and iconic moment in cinematic history. And I mean, granted, everyone does seem to be flailing around in slop more than I've ever seen in any other movie, but other than that, it's kind of grim. I captioned this: when you and the squad take bad shrooms, get flash flood diarrhea, and nobody seems to be handling it properly. Not the greatest time to do a floor routine, but you know, it's your spiritual journey. So she makes her way up to the mechanical heart and she's gonna fucking fix it if it's the last thing she does. But then we come back out and we realize that this was just a dream as she's describing it to her therapist, played by Fat Joe. He's saying all of these words that suck so bad. She's like recounting how she's had many troubled relationships. So the movie's gonna jump around in time. It's all kind of connected through her conversations with her therapist, their memories, their real life, or whatever. She goes back to like her most recent relationship that inspired this nightmare about the flowers, because not all is well with her most recent boyfriend.
What you looking for?
That's you, Libra. Your meticulousness keeps me focused.
I'm meticulous. How do you listen to that crap?
Baby, what?
Uh-oh, he just went from hunky dreamboat to holding a bottle of abusive boyfriend scotch faster than humanly possible. JLo's like, honey, have you been hiding alcohol down the front of your pants, or are you learning magic? God, please tell me it's at least a Chris Angel illusionist type of magic that we can take to Vegas, because I can't go through the pain of dating another alcoholic boy wizard. This student film type obvious imagery is really what stuck out to me about this movie. When I went to NYU, like, do you know how many movies I worked on that were based around the astrology signs, or like symbolism was built into everything was a hyper surrealistic, nothing was quite what it seems, everything was stylized, like every movie was like that. It's like, it's not exactly the most nuanced thing, and I see the same idea happening here. Her with her tattered clothing to show that she's like in a net that's trapped, the boyfriend with his poorly executed S&M sailor sweater. It's all just a little on the nose, if you ask me. Like, you're beating me to death with it, and it's just a visual, to say nothing of the dialogue, where she's like, you're a Libra, and he's like, why don't you shut the up, Libra. If you compare that with like a similar example would be Chris Evans playing the character Ransom in 2019's Knives Out. Throughout the movie, he was wearing this costume that's like a sweater that had a cable knit that was frayed on the edges, but you could only really see those frayed details in the close-ups, yet it was enough to effectively yet quietly convey some character detail in the background of the scene. I noticed it when I saw it in theaters, and I had a theory about why that would be. It was obviously intentional. They wouldn't just put a ratty sweater on Chris Evans in a movie if they didn't mean to. And the costume designer, Jenny Egan, after the sweater went viral, confirmed my theory. She said that she chose that color and style of sweater because the bone color, the ivory, and the cable knit represented the leisure class in America over the last few decades. Chris Evans' character was someone who never had to work a day in his life, so he was not worried about getting stained. He could keep a pristine sweater. However, he also lived off the fortune of his grandfather in the movie, and those worn out details showed that he was, quote, buying expensive things but doesn't respect them, as Jenny said. And she reinforced this even with like the beaten Gucci loafers that he wore throughout the movie. I don't know how this one sweater is more interesting to me than the entirety of this half movie, but I think that speaks to how excited I feel when I see well thought out production design, and how turned off I feel when I see a filmmaker who doesn't have the restraint it takes to like treat their audience with respect, I guess. JLo's character literally lives in a glass apartment and is literally bound to her Botox boyfriend with a rope until she literally breaks out of the situation so she can literally move on with this literally bad movie. I just keep coming back to like, it feels like it was written by a film student who had limited budget. They weren't making a feature film. They were trying to do like a 30-minute something for festivals or like to get their next job. It's like a thesis film. And I just don't think that, I mean, I'm looking back with an honest eye at a lot of the thesis films that I worked on. Some were great. Some of those directors are now like way successful doing that I could never dream of. Some of them were not that great. You know, don't, and I was just happy to be there, putting my talc-based eyeshadow on some unpaid extras. Not anymore though. Now I'm putting it all on myself, baby. Touch all this talc-laden skin. I've got emphysema. So anyway, that just sums up how J-Lo had been in a like kind of abusive relationship in the past, which she did kind of in the documentary reveal that this was based in truth. She had been roughed up by some boyfriends who would shove her, who would push her, and knowing what we know about Sean P. Diddy Combs and what just came out on security camera footage with the way he roughed people up, I absolutely believe that to be true. I completely feel for anybody who's ever been in a situation of an abusive relationship. I don't think this was the most original way to convey the pain and the hurt and the confused feelings of that, since she just sort of like runs away and is like, Libras. It's like, yeah, but what about all of the psychological brainwashing and manipulation that goes into like being in one of those relationships? You know, that's a few skin layers too deep for us to touch upon in this half-hour movie. It's an hour long, but you know, the budget clearly limited its length. And also, I think Jenny probably just got tired of writing. And you heard her talk about Libras. The astrological signs become a big part of this. In the documentary, she says that's because she went through this phase where she was like going to see all these fortune tellers and star sign readers to like figure out what was wrong with her or how she could find the right relationship. And that's all represented by this council of cameos that we are about to witness, who are basically like the Greek muses of this movie, commenting on the action going on in a series of soliloquies that don't actually play into the plot at all.
We are the Zodiacal Council, but the stars hold all the power.
Sometimes I chew my hair. Same.
You would look hot in bangs.
I'm calling Amazon customer service. Hi, Denise. Yes, I'm calling because there's a movie that I'm gonna need deleted off of your Prime Video streaming service. Can you transfer me to the person who has that kind of authority? Oh, you can't? Okay. No, I understand. I guess then I'll just direct the following death threat to you.
I'm gonna hunt you down like a pig, Denise. Then I'm gonna pay a little visit to pick up your kids from school. Don't you hang up on me, little piggy, I swear to
All right, she heard my request. She's gonna work on it for me. Anyway, oh, hold on. There's this really hot SWAT team guy looking at me through the window. Hey, Daddy. I love your big, hard battering ram. He seems angry. The inclusion of the Zodiacal Council in this movie is such a hot mess of forced cameos and unfunny dialogue that you just know J-Lo wrote these scenes all by herself. In fact, if your home theater setup has Dolby Digital surround sound, you can turn up the volume and actually hear members of the cast and crew quietly agreeing that it's better not to be honest with her. I actually feel bad for the serious actors who agreed to record this scene. All of these cameos were shot separately, and then they had to watch themselves be digitally placed next to the late night hosts and recording artists who were literally doing this as a joke.
Leo, always shooting your shot.
She'll learn.
If you could just get quiet for a while.
Yes, exactly. Everyone in this movie needs to shut the f up. I agree with Jane Fonda wearing the spray-painted Avengers costume from Amazon. In fact, if you look at any of these costumes and these Zodiac scenes, it's TJ Maxx to the max. Like, we've got shattered mirrors glued to things. We've got a plastic lion painted gold stuck on Post Malone's chest. Like, they really treated these cameos with respect. I gotta say, great use of everyone's time. One look at these costumes should tell you just how scary it must be to say no to Jennifer Lopez. Shout out to Kim Petras, though. That's my favorite of all of these. He's the most relevant cameo to me as a young Gen Z 20-something. Shh, don't tell him lying. He's 33. Anyway, as Keke Palmer, my other favorite cameo, points out, J-Lo's down there wilding out, trying to get married again. Like, how dare she?
No. It's too soon.
Will you marry me?
Too soon for J-Lo's cliffside proposal? More like just in time. She was just about to jump. That guy's a hero. Also, I think the CGI set budget is starting to dwindle at this point. That's why this shot is actually a screen recording from The Sims 3. Look at him floating there. Ugh. Next it goes to this like kind of, I think probably my favorite dance scene of the whole movie, because it's like the wedding dance. It's like kind of like contemporary at kind of 80s, kind of vintage, kind of current, kind of retro, kind of fun. And she's like switching between three husbands, like because she got married 3 times and they're all just kind of blended together into this one song. And her friends are all being like, oh, congratulations. Again, she's getting married. Wow. Which, like, I mean, people get married more than 3 times. Like, it's not that much, especially in Hollywood. But she's really trying to like harp on the fact that she's like, I can't believe I married this guy and then that guy and then that guy. It's like, yeah, well, you're a grown woman. You can do what you want. What's surprising to me is that you had a wedding ceremony for each of those. Eventually, I'd be like, maybe I'm not marriage material, so I'm gonna go ahead and elope real quietly and let people know after the fact without having a gift registry and all of that. But the rich are gonna do what the rich are gonna do. They divorced 3 times in another series of montages, and the Zodiacal Council is just like, oh my god.
Bye, Pisces.
and Virgo.
And Cancer. She's running out of signs.
Wow, it's almost like the astrological signs have nothing to goddamn do with this. Maybe she's just difficult to live with. And are they implying that she's only been with one guy from each month of the year? Because she's trying to try out each astrology sign? Like, how has her therapist, Fat Joe, not helped her see the problem with that kind of magical thinking? Like, okay, sweetie, you tried dating up and down your daily horoscope chart. Have you considered perhaps f***ing a non-famous person who was never your co-star? Or some kind of ugly acquaintance who wears glasses, perhaps? I think that's where you're gonna find the real marriage material, not amongst all this fake-ass mystical crap. That's what I learned from the clairvoyant who I used to communicate with my dog about her dietary preferences. You can see Jane Fonda actively not knowing her lines in these scenes. She's like, I wish I knew what to do or say. It's like, yeah, me too, because this is already too long at 65 minutes. She's calling her friends, Jennifer, her like 6 angels in this movie. It's like her 6 closest friends. They all have little quirks and personalities. And we saw in the documentary like the real life equivalent of all of these people. They've been her agents, they've been her managers, they've been her whatever, publicists. And they're represented in this movie by these young hot actors who, in this case, have a intervention for her with this ratty boyfriend who carries a gun to be like, we think you're a love and sex addict. And she tells her therapist, she's like, why does everyone think that I love to fall in love? I've only been talking about that exclusively. I made my whole personality trying to get married, and that's the only thing I care about or can think about. Like, what is the deal? And he's like, hold on, I'm fighting with my wife because of my star sign. This f***ing movie.
Love Addicts Anonymous, are you kidding me?
We've been doing this for years. Just try it.
Let's go, Fluffy.
That dog is not even f***ing fluffy. I know it has to be done. Dear gods, please, once again, turn this into a flower that I can place on the grave of modern filmmaking. It's the most cinematic form of justice possible for the person responsible for its negligent homicide. Also, I would like to be turned into a wombat, but I want to take pictures throughout several stages of the transformation so I can finally star in my own Animorphs book cover. So she agrees to go to the Love and Sex Addicts Anonymous meeting. It's like in a basketball court, and like she's singing about how she wants love while wearing a broken heart sweater, and everyone's like, all the other love addicts are dancing around her. All I remember is people being like, a lot of this. I was like, okay, low potassium, let's eat a banana. But the like guy who runs the meeting says something wise to her. I don't know. It's all really kind of pointless. But then she goes to enough therapy that she eventually was able to fix herself. I mean, presumably by going to all of these love addicts meetings, and then eventually one day her friends show up at her door, or one of the British one does.
Where have you been? We've all been worried about you.
He's like, we're all quite worried, isn't it? That's the Queen's truth of it all. But turns out the police won't do a welfare check on someone just for going through a large statement hat phase, you see? So that's why I've come here to kill you myself. I feel like Jennifer has to give like the second leading role credit to this hat, because sweetheart, the screen time, it's giving it, taking it. It's both. It's giving and taking. She's versatile, that hat. So anyway, this guy, the cynic, the British guy is what he's known as in the Greek mythology of it all. He's like getting married, and it's because of her. She believed in love so much that it taught him to love. We then flash right back to the therapy she just got out of. I hate this movie. To tell Fat Joe about this dream she had where she met her inner child. But it's pretty ominous at first. You don't know who's attacking her in the alleyway.
I'm getting more and more nervous. So I start walking faster and faster, and I end up right across the street from my old house.
Ooh, and I think we all know what happens next.
I used to live here. Huh? I used to live here. Huh?
What's your name?
My name is Jennifer.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I used to live and my room was upstairs right there.
Jennifer?
Jennifer Lopez.
Who's Jennifer Lopez?
Me. I used to live here.
Yeah, I think he got the part that you used to live there, Jenny from the block. I just don't think he understands why that's any of his business. From a lot of the stories posted online about Jennifer Lopez, it seems like a lot of other people have had nightmares about their interactions with her. So it's very empowering that this guy figured out the only way to defeat her, which is to act totally unaware of her existence. I wonder if he was trained by the Mariah Carey.
Und was ist mit J-Lo?
Die kenne ich nicht.
Ups.
Anyway, the person sneaking up on J-Lo happens to be her inner child, who's like a bruised and battered, neglected 9-year-old who is like, you abandoned me, you didn't give me enough love, you loved everyone but me. It's like, she didn't love everyone but you, she only loved the men with big dicks. That's understandable. What do you have, a tiny little girl? No, no, no. But the inner child work. It happened magically in her sleep. That's the most important takeaway. And therefore, she and her inner child get to caress each other and sing a song. She's soothing, she's reparenting herself, and that's all a symbol of her healing. And she goes back to her dream where she's like in the heart factory and she fixes the heart by sparking the flame one more time. I guess by loving herself. Self-love, masturbation, all of that. She figures it out. And then there's this final scene where she goes to the beach for a wedding, and at first you're like, she's getting married again, but no, no, no. It turns out it's that cynical friend of hers getting married to his wife, despite seeming gay. And in the documentary, it shows her like doing this whole scene where she ends up with a cameo of Ben Affleck, her real life husband, where they like, and that's at the wedding where she meets him because she stopped trying so hard to meet him. She went to the wedding alone, and that's when true love found her. They cut that though. They don't show her meet anybody in the end of this movie. She literally just is like in love with herself in the CGI bird's nest. Oh, a bird's nest, I get it, because the hummingbird's gonna come meet her. This fucking shit. She does this singing in the rain kind of montage, whatever. The fact is, Ben Affleck's cameo does exist in the movie. Throughout the whole plot, we've seen them going to the TV where there's this like rough and tumble Fox News type correspondent who I didn't realize until the very end was Ben Affleck, and they show a little bit more of him here.
Never having to say, I'm lonely. It means old Rexy can go down to the lobby bar, order the oysters and a club soda, and go to bed smiling, even though the waitress was mean as a diabetic honey badger.
Okay, were all of those themes really in the script for what we just saw? Or did they use the wrong kind of adhesive to glue that nose onto Ben Affleck's face and he was just huffing that whole time? Because that was some sundowning nonsense. Also, shout out to the makeup artist who did her best to blend those edges down. But, you know, we got some lift off. Houston, there's a problem. Also, Ben Affleck being like, I can go jerk off alone and that's okay with me at a hotel. It's like, sweetheart, we have really lost the plot. Let's wrap it up. Let me know what you think of the greatest love story never told, which is called This Is Me Now, ... now, a love story. For me, it was exhausting. Just a lot of, it was basically a student film that happened to be made by J-Lo. Congratulations, Jennifer. You should be proud of the work that you did. Not many people could sell this type of shit to fucking Amazon, so that's just a testament to your star power, I guess. And to everyone else involved, happy divorce. I don't know what to tell you. I do, however, feel like you could check this movie out very easily. It's free if you have Amazon Prime Video, and it's only an hour long, so definitely watch it if you feel like it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns on celebrity, movie, musical, visual albums like this. Also, most importantly, if you're new here, or if you've been watching for a while but just happen to be unsubscribed, I would love it if you could click that subscribe button. It really, really makes a huge like improvement to the success of this channel. I can't explain it to you because algorithm magic, but it just, trust me, it would be so meaningful to me if you could click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell icon. That way you never miss new videos from me. I'm always uploading new stuff, J-Lo. You took care of everyone but me. I'm the abandoned inner child that you hate. So turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I'm sneaking up on you in your old neighborhood. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you for turning into a little red flower with me today. A little brain dead flower. You guys are all the greatest. I will see you next time.